aside from giving them food and shelter, meeting their absolute basic needs, reading is the next most important thing.
To me, it's as important as feeding your child healthy food, as giving them a chance to play outside and experience nature, teaching them to brush their teeth. To me, reading is just as important as these things, and you have to teach your child that it's something important and something that they'll love.
Reading is the #1 most important activity you can do with your child to help them be a successful reader and a learner. So, of course you want to meet their safety needs and their health needs, but reading is right there.
Well, it's so much more than just the book. Oftentimes it's a bonding time that they are not sharing distractions with that parent for the rest of the day, so that's an important thing. But they're making connections in their brain.
At the beginning of life, at birth, the brain has got all of these little things that are just kind of around, and as you read, as you talk, they connect, and they stay connected.
Well, I think you can go back as early as 12 or 15 months and have a child who hasn't made that connection between words and having their needs being met, and that child goes, eh, and you as a parent don't know what it is they want. You're frustrated, the child's frustrated, and everybody's upset. As opposed to the child who now is starting to get the idea that "buh" means ball. Here's your ball. Do you want your ball? There's your ball. That's such a nice ball. And he now has that connection. He's less frustrated. You're less frustrated. The child is starting to make those connectors between using language, having needs met, and that just builds and builds and builds. So if you want to talk to a frustrated parent, a parent who has a child who can't communicate with them is incredibly frustrated.
I suggest reading from the very beginning with newborns on up. But I also tell parents, if you didn't start then, you can't go back. I've got lots of books about time machines, but no actual ones here. Can't go back. So start where you are.
Little board books, little plastic books where they can chew on them, but see the bright colors, and they see, a duck with the word duck underneath. They're still being exposed to language, even if when they're 3 months old, they don't necessarily understand how to read the word duck, but you're laying that foundation. So you can read to a child at any point.
Read to, you learn to love books. Ultimately that's what I want for young children. When their parents are reading with them, I don't necessarily want them to learn how to read at 4 years old. That doesn't excite me. What excites me is their love of books, because that's going to carry them through their entire lives. If they're motivated to learn how to read on their own, they're going to do so much better in school. The ability to read has been tied with long-term success in school by a number of research studies. So if you want to give your child the best chance that they can have in school, I would encourage you to start reading with them as soon as they're born, truthfully, and giving them that best start that they can have.
On the very first day, and usually by the end of the first day of kindergarten, I could tell which children had lots of experience with somebody reading to them.
Kid A will read sooner, read better, understand the connection between words and actions, have better reading comprehension. The third grade guarantee we hear so much about, you could almost guarantee a third grader will be reading if their parents read to them from the day they came out. The child who nobody has read to until they walk into kindergarten, you've probably got a greater than 50% chance of that child not meeting the third grade guarantee.
You want them to have the tools they need to succeed, and reading gives it to them. Every parent wants their child to do well, and this is a really simple way that you can control that will help your child do well. Do well in school, do well in life. I think it's a real gift, to give to your child.
Reading is the key. If you can't read those story problems in the math book. You can't read the science book, or you struggle through it. Technical reading is different than reading for pleasure. And if you are not a comfortable reader, it's going to be at least twice as difficult for you, if not more so, to gain the knowledge that you need to advance in those other subjects. Every teacher is a reading teacher. No matter what subject you're teaching, if you don't address reading, you're missing your content.
As pediatricians, we've always known how important reading to children is. I think we didn't appreciate how many families have not had reading in their lives and how much we need to be advocates for them.
If you haven't been fortunate enough to have parents who read to you, that's not the end. If that reading wasn't nurtured in you early, when you see how important it is for your child and how easy it can be to share a book with a child, hopefully that's enough inspiration for you to do that.
Don't wait. Don't think, I'm going to wait till this next stage is over. I'm going to wait till they can sit better. I'm going to wait until they can recognize some of the words. Don't wait. Wherever you are, start. Come into the library, pick out a few books, and make it your habit. Even just one book a day is better than none, definitely.
I know that there are many of my parents who have had reading problems themselves, so reading intimidates them, and they think they need to be a good reader in order to read to their child. But if you're just using picture books, and you don't even have to read the story, if there's a ball and underneath there's the word ball, just point to the ball. Here's a ball, there's a bee, buh. It's very simple, and that's all the child needs, is to have that repetition, and really repetition is the key.
They want the same book read over and over and over again, and as frustrating as that might be to you, that's how they're learning.
Simplicity, rhyming, sort of a sing-song nature, and that's again the Dr. Seuss sorts of books. The illustrations often are very engaging to the young child, and something that they're a little bit familiar with.
Set yourself up for success by choosing a good time, a time when your child's already happy. If they're having a meltdown already, I'm not sure it's a good time to step in with a book. That might not help. But if they're comfortable, they've napped, they're fed, maybe that's a good time to share a book. Making it part of your routine can be a really helpful thing. A lot of people do bedtime stories, and that's great. You're probably going to be arguing with your child about bedtime anyway for 15 minutes. So if you make reading part of that routine, they're going to be much more likely to want to do that.
Don't be frustrated if the child isn't willing to sit curled up in your lap. They still get benefit from being read to if they're running around the room. If it's a good read aloud when you turn the page, child may run over, look, run off again. So I think parents get frustrated that, Billy won't sit still through the book. Fine, he doesn't have to sit still. He still gets benefit from being read to, even if he's not curled up in the lap.
I know it's hard, trust me. You know what? Bedtime, bath time, dinner time, it's crazy. But you have to make the time to do it. And if you miss a couple nights, you know what? Don't beat yourself up about it. Just get back into the routine of it. Making sure that your child knows it's important, you're making time to do it, however that may be. You run into the ball field, maybe you listen to a book on the way over. You're only listening to a small part at least, but it's better than nothing.
I think one of the most important things is never stop reading to them. My kids, even when they were in junior high and high school, we read together. And it's a great way to impart some of your value system too. I remember vividly reading Harper Lee's To Kill a Mockingbird with my son when he was about 12. And we had a lot of things we could talk about.
Well, the benefit for me personally, and I think for any parent or grandparent or caring adult who interacts with children, is a beautiful relationship. That time spent sharing a book, and of course as an infant we call it lap time. And that time, you know, holding your child, sharing a book, letting them hear you talk. They love your voice, whether you're talking, singing, reading, whatever it is. That's a bonding that is lifelong.
I think it's great for the bonding, it's great for their verbal skills and their understanding, and it's great for sharing what's important to you and hopefully what will be important to your child all through their life.